Uh, so I think most of you know me. I'm Charlie Gadol. I'm the race director for Manitou's Revenge, and this will be our 12th year. So Kim Levinsky, who's on this call, suggested that we have a women's webinar to encourage more women to sign up and to see if there are any barriers to participation and maybe answer some of your questions about Manitou. And she submitted a group of questions, and Heather may have some of hers. Heather Blatchley, I'm going to introduce her. She's the moderator and is going for her fifth Manitou's Revenge.
Nice.
And she's in Colorado, which is mountain time. And one of our other panelists, Elizabeth, is also in Colorado. And Care Davis is here, who has uh, won, I don't know how many times you've won Manitous, actually. Cheryl Wheeler was also supposed to join us, who's run Manitous something like 7 or 8 times and has won also. And Sameo is also one of our panelists. Um, I don't see Amy or Hanlon yet or Cheryl Wheeler. If you're on, just let me know. Um, and I'd also like to introduce Alex Papadopoulos, who's here. Alex, if you could wave or say something. Alex is going to be co-director this year and then full director next year for Manitou. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Heather. So let's
Thanks so much, Charlie, and thanks for the invite to join. It got me started thinking about Manitous earlier in the year than usual. I started doing some ultras like 6 or 7 years ago, and then my parents have a cabin business on Route 28 in Phoenicia, and my mom told me that they were having runners stay there, and she started to tell me all about um, these stories she was hearing from folks staying at their cabins. And so I looked the race up, and the elevation can feel pretty intimidating when you're just looking at some of those technical aspects, but the lure of the Catskills won me over. And I actually grew up in Phoenicia. My family still lives there. So coming back every year to a hometown race and hometown mountains is pretty special. My family crews me, and the finish line is at the church that I attended growing up. Finish line is about a mile from my house. Um, so it's just a very special race. I mean, Charlie makes it an amazing race, and the full aid station crews. I mean, they're just like the best part of the race, I think, some of those aid stations. So it's really something to look forward to. And I was pretty excited to hear that this is a meeting to talk about how we can maybe empower more women to want to participate and sign up and run with us. And I did just like a little bit of research on where women have been in racing, and it was 1967 where Catherine Switzer ran Boston, and then not until the 1984 Olympics that women were running the Olympic distance marathon. And then it was Paris this year Olympics where there was gender parity in the marathon. And so there's been these pretty amazing improvements in participation. And I feel special that we could maybe do that with Manitous too. So I'd love to just kick us off, and I'll ask some questions. And I think, I don't know, maybe just come off mute and give us your experience and your feedback, and we'll see how it goes. Our first question for the panel is, what advice would you give someone who's training for Manitous for the first time?
Is anybody going?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay. I would say you have to be partially crazy, but in a good way. So It had many years, I think, of trail running before you even attempt Manitou's. I think Manitou's is a graduate level race, but that shouldn't scare anybody from, taking on the challenge. Would be prepared by doing other races such as Dick's Escarpment or Catskill or Breakneck or any one of the other lovely trail races out there. There's a variety these days, from beginner. Is Kim on here? Levinsky? Her
Yeah, I'm
races,
here.
yeah, I don't see her. But yeah, starting there. Yeah. That's all I have. Amy!
Hi.
Hi.
I forgot what the question was.
What advice
To,
would you give someone training for their first time?
oh gosh. I mean, I went my first Manitou's in 2013. I was underprepared and still managed to finish, but I would definitely recommend people training in the Catskills. One of the years I did Manitou's, I ran into a guy who had completed several Leadvilles, and he's like, what the F is this? What is this? So I would definitely recommend anyone getting out there in something like that because it's not like typical trails, as everybody here knows. So I would get out there on the actual course.
And to go off of that, I would also say having practice on tired legs. So Kim was actually with me when I did like a Manitou's recon weekend where I did back-to-back long runs running the course over 2 days. And it was a good confidence booster. But like it's funny. Somehow the last 20 miles feels as long, if not longer, than the first 30 miles. And it's really, I think just preparing your legs for like long days out there and being self-sufficient with carrying your gear and eating a lot when it's hot, especially. Yeah.
Do you have any advice, Kara?
I think that it's hard to remember back. Leading into my first one, I think that I had done a lot of climbing and I had been up to the White Mountains several times over the course of like the year before. I think I ran an escarpment trail race before the year before I did Manitou's the first time. So I think just, yeah, some good climbing training was really, really helpful.
Anybody else with first time training advice?
I would say just to be prepared for a tough day, but the aid stations are kind of few and far between, but they're amazing. And just kind of take the leap. I'm so glad, even though I was underprepared that first year, that I did it. I made some of the best friends of my life on that first day, including people right here. It's the first time I met Elizabeth, I believe, maybe.
So, it was back in 2013, right?
Yeah. And that's when I met Dick Vincent. So it just was like it's taken on kind of a life of its own. It's a special race. The course can suck. If there was one section I would recommend to someone who's running the race, that would be the climb from Palinville up Catskill. If there was one section, if you had one day to get out there to do that section. I don't know if anyone else agrees with that.
Yeah, for sure. I also think volunteering is huge. In any of these events, you get an opportunity to see the course a little bit and just be a part of and see what everybody's doing out there. But there's nothing like getting on the course. And also, it's a total body kind of trail. So strength training for sure, being prepared with knowing how to eat and drink to get out there. To me, I consider it more of a 80-mile effort, kind of than a 50 or is it 53 miles? I don't know, it changes. But I would think like it's definitely a longer day. I think I've done it 4 times, and I don't know, volunteered, and my husband captured a lot of the visuals that you see is like videos, and it
This
gives you
one?
this one. That's our favorite one. But if you watch his videos on mountainpeakfitness.com, you can see what the course actually looks like. And it's pretty grueling and demanding. It's not to be taken lightly. I think I sprained my ankle in DNF twice, I believe. Yeah. And so, yeah, and it can happen at any time. It just puts you out of the race. Definitely, ankle strengthening. But you just never know what could happen out there. It is fun though. I mean, it's grueling. We have to kind of say, it really is tough. So novices or people don't go out and hurt themselves, but it's a fun time, right? It's Beast Coast trail running. I think if I went out there now, I would just fall down because of our trails here. There's some technical, but I think I would just I don't know, probably would take me 2 hours to get down Sugarloaf at this time. But practicing, yeah, on the course is essential, but not only in practicing your legs to go downhill, not only uphill. And I think a lot of people forget that part of it. Like if you take the descent from North-South Lake too hard, you have that crazy climb coming out of, what is it, Palinville or 23A?
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to climb that effectively if you pound, if you run, your legs are just going to be so tired from the eccentric part of it. I can keep going. You set me up.
I would also say, just to piggyback off what Elizabeth said about the volunteering, I kind of retired from racing it. I run it 6 times, and I now volunteer at the Willow Aid Station, which is the last aid station, and it's a magical night up there. Like if anyone, it's just the runners that come through and being a part of their journey, and they're almost done, and just you see everything from the front runners to that last runner who's just getting it done, and they're gonna finish no matter what. And it just makes the race even more magical to have pivoted from myself as a runner of the race. I still run, but not Manitous.
Yeah.
To a volunteer, yeah, so that's a great way to see the race too, and to see what it does for people, what people, even in the struggles of all the people I've seen at coming through Willow, there's joyfulness there. Nobody is completely miserable and hating it. They're all like, I hate it, but I love it. It's that kind of thing that makes the race very special, in my opinion.
Yeah, thanks, Amy. I would say expect it to rain and make sure that you train in all kinds of conditions. And when you have that inevitable, very bad training day, take that as some practice for the lows that you'll probably have over a long day, and just kind of be present for that bad training day so that you can look back on it and know that you can come out of it.
I think I even finished with a broken hand one year.
Oh my gosh.
Going up
Better than an ankle.
the last yeah, it beats you up. I broke my hand, I think, on the last before I got to the second to last aid station before Tremper. And it was it was super slick and humid. Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, like Amy said, still finishing with a smile on her face.
So what would you all say is the toughest section of the course and why?
I know what I think. I think it's the climb from Palinville up Catskill. Then you get to the top of that and you think it's going to be, it's just a really tricky section once you get to the top of the Catskill shoulder. It's just, every time I've run the race, I want to give up there. I have some negative self-talk in that time and just have to get through it. So that's why I think the years that I've run that in my training, it's a little bit better. It's still just hard for me as a, not the fastest runner. I'm hitting it at usually the hottest part of the day. And it's tough. It does end, but it takes a long time.
I think from Mink Hollow to the finish. Like that whole stretch up plateau, like when you're dying and you have to go up plateau forever, and then the primitive trail to the end. I think like from Mink Hollow to the finish. Save everything for
for me,
that last bit.
See, for me, I was going to say from now that we're just covering almost the entire course, I was going to say the Devil's Path up to Mink Hollow was toughest for me, probably again, because I hit that at the hottest part of the day. And like what's the aid station before? I guess it's the Pillenville aid station is like such a hop in place. You're so excited. And then you're just into the climbing of the Devil's Path, and you really have to just grind it out. It's a lot. I had to pack extra water because it's only 8 miles, but it takes a long time to get up that, up all of those climbs, and your legs are trashed by that point. And it's so hot, you don't want to eat. So I think that's what I found the trickiest. So now that we've covered most of the course, but
I do feel like though the Devil's Path section from Platte Clove to Mink Hollow is so technical for everybody. It's almost an equalizer. Like, I don't care if you're Justin Kowski or Ben Nephew or who, Cheryl, Care, you're walking a great majority. If I'm wrong, then I'm just gonna retire from running altogether. I feel like that's sort of an equalizer. Everybody's walking in there.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and my least favorite part, I agree with Amy, is up Catskill. It's just like kind of a death march up that hill. But I think like Devil's Path, I enjoy because of the climbing, but I think it's something to be just to remember that the downhills are slow, if not sometimes slower than the uphills. Coming down some of those descents on Devil's Path, so that can be kind of like really grating because you think you got to the top and now I'm just going to cruise down, and you're not cruising down. But so something to keep in mind.
I know someone already said like we're covering the entire course, and what was in my brain is that first climb up Black Dome. Every year I have to remind myself like you're fine, you're prepared. It's okay that you feel terrible and we're only a couple of hours in. I think for me it's like I got to get that first climb out of the way and then I feel okay, but I always kind of scare myself on that. And I would say, depending on how you like to be prepared, you might look at some of the split times, like find someone who you think has like a similar finish time that you're shooting for and look at their splits between aid stations. Because for someone like slower like me, there are some that are over 3 hours between aid stations. And on those hot, humid days, like your 2 liters are probably not enough. And there's sections where you might want to think about throwing a third water bottle or a bladder in your pack.
I think there's quite a bit of running that we forget about. Like when you train, there's a good portion of it, like at the escarpment sections, and as I said before, the downhill sections, like leaving North-South Lake, the top section when you get up Catskill climb. There is some running in there, so I don't think it's a total hiking race. So yeah, don't forget to run.
Oh yeah, that. Has anybody on the panel used drop bags? And if you did, do you have any advice about what to put in them? What worked well? What you wish you had?
I use a drop bag at Platte Cove, and I always put a hearty meal in there. So I put something a little bit more substantial.
What's a hearty meal for
Usually
you?
pizza.
Nice. I'll speak for Amy because one year her bladder broke. I would say, yeah, pack a bladder even in some of the aid stations. I think her bladder went at North-South Lake, but I think we were lucky enough to someone let her, or I had a spare, or somebody had a spare. So even
I think Dick Vincent, I closed my bladder hose in Peter Preston's car door at the race morning. And so for the first like 30 miles or whenever Dick got me a new bladder, I just held it like this. And actually, it was my best year. It was the year I felt the best the whole time. And I think it's because I had a distraction and I had to like, if I held it up, it still worked, but I couldn't like, if I let it down, it would just all spill out all over me.
Yeah. And I guess a headlamp, I mean, depending on where you're going. So at Flat Cove Road, even maybe like a shell, if that, like extra gear there, snacks. Um, take your time there, get yourself prepared for the next chunk of time. You know, like Jessica said, you're feeling good and you leave there and you're all high energy. And then somebody comes and jumps on your back. Yeah, so just leave there well prepared. There's no need to rush out of that aid station. And that's at mile 30 still, Charlie?
Mhm.
For anybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did change socks a few times, even though I felt like my whole body was wet the entire time. But even just like even just even just changing into like, just because you get a lot of like dirt and grime and you know, it just wears on your feet over time. So if your feet are wet and then you've got the sand and the dirt and all of that stuff, I think it's good to just always change socks. And if you have some sort of protectant for your feet, especially at that Palinville area. Amy.
I can't help the words you're saying.
Well, I don't know if you remember the last thing I said to you, Amy, at Willow, like this past year, where it was like, it was so hot and it was only like lightly raining, and I was like, I could use some more rain. Actually, I could cool off a bit more. And then like the skies completely opened up, and I was then going down Tremper and like just a stream. And so you'll hit every condition, I think. Pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, I think that last year was the first year for any race that I've ever changed socks, and I thought I would hate it. And now I'm like a believer in changing socks, even though I felt like it rained all day. But it really helped me not have trashed feet at the end and the next day. Um, I think you could consider, if you're a pole user or not, like potentially having poles for the second half of the race in that drop bag. And then Manitou's has also made me like, I have overstock of lube. Squirrel's nut butter is in like every pocket and every drop bag that I have because of some terribly painful showers that I've had post Manitou's. Yeah, for all kinds of reasons. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about what folks on the panel would say to women who might be hesitant about signing up.
I guess I'll go. I think if you're thinking about kind of Manitous, you're already been outdoors quite a bit on technical trails. And you're probably going into something a little tougher, like 100-miler or something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a great tool. And Charlie, what I wanted to ask you once was, or now is, are you ever going to bring the relay back? Because I think that's a good option. To have like split it up in twos so people can kind of see the course and not get, totally killed.
That would be great, and it was a great way for us to start the race in the early years, but we do have a limit to the number of runners that we can take as solo runners. And actually, we go through for the last 2 years, we've gone through our entire wait list. So, and that's just for solo runners. The demand is really there. And it would have to be a totally different day if we did relays, a completely different event.
Oh, that would be fun to do a totally different day. Like just to do another race all entirely and break it up into like a relay day. Anyway, I'm going off topic. that just came to my mind. How
I would
fun
just
it is to actually go, like you're going to go into, the 30-mile mark, and then you're going to do the Devil's Path section. Yeah.
I would just encourage, if someone was interested in running it, and again, like I felt that they were like a seasoned and prepared runner, I would just encourage them to go for it. Because I think if you can keep moving, keep eating, like keep your head on straight, like, like Amy said, even if you're not as prepared as you'd like to be, like, I think it, like, we have such great volunteers. And I do think, you do have to keep moving, but I do think that a lot of the cutoffs are generous. The first half you do have to run some of that, the escarpment trail in that, but I think, I think there just needs to be more women out there. Every race I think I go to, it's, we're probably in that 20% range. So I just want to keep, seeing that as much as possible.
I agree. I just think that I have been seeing more women, but I feel like when I got into ultra running and maybe like 2010 area, it has improved. Like I used to just only run, as Elizabeth will say, with a bunch of older dudes. That was like and now I have so many strong, amazing women that I run with. And Manitou's is like, I feel like in the Northeast, it's it's the best. Like it's just an escarpment too, Dick. But like it's like escarpment times, I would call it escarpment times 3 or 4, honestly, even though it's not that much longer. I just think escarpment is like fun. People can have, there's a lot of support. There's a lot of age. You don't have to be as self-reliant as Manitou's. You are out there, and it's, you know, and I personally would love to see more women out there just representing, you know,
I agree. I think,
ovaries and vaginas.
yeah. I do think there's a difference. Now, being out here for almost 4.5 years, 5 years, which is crazy. There are a lot more women here. It's crazy. All I see is women. Joe, especially mountain biking and running, it's so crazy. And I wonder what the difference is. I literally, when I did my first 100 in, I don't even know, 2000 and then 2001, and there were absolutely no women, like hardly any women. And then I think my inspiration was Ann Trayson, right, back in the day, Western stage style. And just going back and looking at who were inspiring women out there. Then it was like Nikki Kimball and that crew. But I don't know what it is. Like here, there's like, I don't know, like the High Lonesome 100, which is in my back of my yard here. They actually they go 1-for-1. For every man they allow in the lottery, they allow a woman in. So there's a 50-50 split, which is pretty cool.
I think I would echo what I feel like are generous cutoffs for a really difficult race. Like it is totally doable. I think that the people that you meet on this course have the potential to be your lifelong friends. Like Dick, I met Scott when there were still pacers at Manitou's, and we've been friends ever since, which feels pretty cool to me that you can meet someone who you otherwise wouldn't have, and have new friendships. The course is really well marked. And it's also really well tuned to if you download the map or someone on Strava and they can share it with you. I'm someone who's like very afraid of getting lost. I have a very bad sense of direction. And I've never been worried on this course. It's like very true, and well marked. And that gives me a lot of confidence out there when you're alone for potentially long periods of time. And then I think the potential of meeting trail angels and knowing that everyone out there on the course wants you to be successful. It's just a really special feeling to be a part of this community. And I don't think that being worried about participating should be a barrier to getting to experience that.
Charlie, what's the cutoff now? Is it 24 hours or 20 hours?
23.
23.
23 hours, yeah. And we're not really that tough at the end if somebody's gone all that distance. But we really try to gear the cutoff so people will make it in 23 hours, and just about everybody does. There are a few people who get. One year we tried to move things up a little bit. My former co-director felt everyone could walk the course in 18 hours. But that was kind of crazy. Um, so we, 23 hours seems to be good. Just about everybody finishes in that time period. And if the weather is bad, if it's extremely hot or rainy or something, we're going to be generous about that.
Maybe we can shift gears a little bit and talk about like your favorite view or your best moment or memory on the course.
I always enjoy Mink Hollow aid station. It's always just such a beautiful um just moment to relax for a second and get some energy. The volunteers there are always really, really enthusiastic and so helpful. And it's after a really long, hard stretch, and you can kind of start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel there. So that's my favorite place, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say for me too, it's the aid stations. I mean, the views are beautiful, but I feel like the Catskills are more about the gnarly trail. Um, as much as it's not like you're not out like where Elizabeth lives in Colorado, where there's like it's views aplenty everywhere from your car, from here, from there, from your window. It's like you have to work for those views at Manitou, so they are special. So I hope everyone, however fast you are, does enjoy them when you get treated to them on little special lookouts. But for me, all the years I ran Manitou's, the most welcome sight to me was the aid station. For me, my favorite was Willow, seeing those cheeky torches, you know, really was like, once you get there, you're done. You're gonna finish. If it's it's just getting to the finish at that point. So I would say the aid stations, and just to remember to enjoy every little view that's sprinkled in, but mostly it's a trail looking down. It's the roots, it's the rocks, it's the moss, it's the porcupines that make the race for me.
I wish I saw a porcupine on the course, but I did not. I saw one driving to the course, but not.
That counts.
Yeah, right. I've only done the race once, but I've volunteered there as well. But we had a great cloud inversion early on in the race this past year. So that was a cool, unique view. But yeah, although it might be an unconventional answer, I do like the section after you're, dipping down from Plateau and as you're making your way up to Willow, because having volunteered there before, I knew how special it was. I knew my friends were there. And you just feel so like isolated out there. And it's really like, oh my gosh, I'm like really out in the wild. And you get that sense of adventure, especially crossing Werner Creek, I think it is. And like, okay, it's getting dark, but like, again, like you're starting to smell the barn a bit. And that's just like a fun place. And it's not really a trail you go on very often unless you're running Manitous. It's a very remote trail. Like I've done the Devil's Path and Escarpment plenty, but just that place is special to the race.
You're waiting for me. I would say the forest. I guess I'm missing that lush forest a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely the forest. I mean, it's just magical, especially the Devil's Path section. I think it's pretty magical. Yeah, views, I don't know. Devil's Path, when you get to the top of them, if you're lucky enough to have a view, then they're amazing. Yeah, just the canopy of trees, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, it's rolling into literally any and all of the aid stations is the best moment. They always feel really emotional for me, especially if my family is there to crew. I sometimes almost cry coming into aid stations because it's just such a good feeling. So I really look forward to those moments. And then last year, I was out on the course for a really long time. It took me 3 hours longer than I had planned for and hoped for. But there was this torrential downpour around 11 o'clock at night, and the lightning lit up the sky to where it felt like someone turned the lights on for like 2, 3, 4 seconds at a time. And it was just the most incredible view, I guess I would call it. And I thought I would be really afraid out there in that weather all alone. And I wasn't. And that's a really good memory for me in the best moment of just knowing how I weathered that storm. It was really cool. I'm not sure I'll ever experience that kind of rain. Definitely not in Colorado.
Heather, I was out there at Willow last year during that, and it was the most magical storm. Like I've been out in a lot of rainstorms. The lightning was out of this world out there. Like it was so cool. We were trying to keep the water off our tarps constantly, but I agree with the magical storm. And every year there's a different magical aspect, and that was yours. I would say that was mine last year too. And I love that magic of the race.
I saw a chat pop up from Anna that said that she finished in the rain and the lightning. And Amy, when you said that you worked that Willow aid station last year, I was thinking that I probably ran into you, and I threw up from like the airplane all the way through Willow. And so I was like this person at Willow that I think you tried to feed me and give me broth.
Did I offer you a tuna fish sandwich?
I was going to say,
I
Heather,
always offer tuna sandwiches.
Maybe that would have worked.
Heather,
No, never have a tuna fish sandwich that was hiked up to Willow in the summer. Never.
Heather, I think we ran a couple of miles together. Now that you're saying that you're the one who threw up going up towards the plane, I think I remember running some miles with you. But I agree that storm was, I don't know, surprisingly not calm, but calm. Like it did give you a sense of serenity, and like, yeah, you would think you would be scared, but it was really special, and you felt like protected from the trees and all that. And I just wanted to add to just what everyone's saying with the aid stations. My husband, who doesn't like to run a single step, was out at Manitou's crewing, and he's been at a lot of races before, and he actually said, wow, I like really get it now. Like that's like a really special community. And I see why, even though it's crazy, like what you're doing is nuts, but like I see why people keep going back, and you all know each other. Like everyone knows all of each other. It was just, he was really taken back by that. And he's been to tons of races and he's never said that before. So
yeah, it's special here. Curious for our first timers looking for advice, if there is a piece of gear that you're very happy that you had with you, or something that you look back and wish that you had.
Kim, I'm going to shout out Kim here, did this, gave me this idea when we were doing our training runs of having a separate water cup to dump, like with all of the streams, like to dump water on, because like, I mean, you can completely submerge as well, but like really being able to dump lots of water on your head to stay cool, like separate from the cup you're going to drink soda from and that sort of a thing was really great to have. And in training, I also wore a bug net up Catskill. It was just so buggy. I don't think I wore it during the race, but I probably would have had it. Just depends on
I've never used it at Manitou's, but I never have my pack without a head net. Because if you've ever been in a black fly swarm, that's always in my pack.
Do you have any advice, Care, from your wins of things that helped you get there fast?
I don't think I have anything like definitely nothing out of the ordinary. I'm kind of minimalistic in my running, so I don't really pack a lot of stuff. Um,
Well, she finishes so many hours before most of us.
yeah, I can't think of anything
Yeah,
that everybody wouldn't have.
yeah, I can't think of anything either.
I'd say it's mostly training and confidence on the trails and just what you should bring, like extra water, extra choices for food, not just one thing. Maybe if you get sick of scratch chews, you might want to have Oreos or whatever. But mostly, I think it's what you did everything race day has it's been done before in your preparation and your training and your love for the trails, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that sounds like really good advice. Um, Last year, I happened to throw in a lot of extra gels for some reason, and then that was like the main thing that I was able to get down. And so I was grateful that that ended up in my pack. I think my teeth almost fell out because there was a lot of gels, but it worked for calories when you're not feeling that well. The extra water vessel, potentially a filter if you think you're going to be out in those long sections where you want to be able to get something from the stream to drink, can be a good backup depending on like what you expect your finishing time to be. And don't forget your lube. um, well, if you could go back, what training or race day advice would you all give yourself? You must have something, Elizabeth.
Sorry, I'm not a panelist, but can I say something?
Yes, please.
So I think like so many women particularly have so many gender roles more than men. And when women run like d long distance or hardcore races, they have to commit and they have to spend more time for it. So that means they need a partner to understand and more time to do so. And also, like especially like me live in the city, especially I don't have a car, need to belong to some sort of a community to do something together. And like I usually access to the Hudson Valley running community. They have a WhatsApp, and when we do recon or preview run, we usually go through the WhatsApp and then make a plan, and then we go there. And sometimes we have a what it's called pull carpool
Mm-hmm.
to get to the trailhead, then coming back together. So it helped for us to do together. It's not the solo. I think the ultra running community, beauty of ultra running community, it's really like a community belonging to everyone, belong to the community and engage to the sports you love. So that's I think important for particularly women because you know we're special, but we're not special, and we can talk together. Like my suggestions, like Charlie and also new co-director can make WhatsApp group for it doesn't have to be a woman, but like to make all of the Manitou's Revenge like community there. And then, if you have a question, everyone can answer the question, and we're gonna have a preview run, ask someone. That will be helpful for not just the beginners, but everyone. That's what I think.
Yeah, thanks for chiming in, Kumi. I saw you get a thumbs up from Alex on your suggestion, and there's so much heart in what you're saying about women empowering each other to be part of this community. It's my favorite thing about it. So thanks for saying it.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. That's a great idea.
Concur on this end.
Anyone else have any race day advice that you look back and you'd want to tell yourself?
I would say one thing is that I wouldn't worry too much. Like the first year I did Manitous, I had my daughter's eighth grade graduation the night before, and we had like a family function after, like a dinner with like my ex-husband's family and my parents. And it was like I couldn't get to bed early whatsoever. I got like an hour's sleep. But I also feel like no one sleeps amazingly the night before a race. And if it's your first time, expect that you can still finish even if things didn't go perfectly the night before, and not to let those things interfere with your enjoyment of the day. Like Elizabeth and mentioned before, when my bladder didn't work, wasn't functioning right properly at the start, I actually had the best Manitous of all the six that I've run. I've had them the least amount of low points. So just kind of going with the flow. If something goes wrong, don't let anything, if you're the kind of person that's gonna needs everything to go perfect all the time, and you're gonna be here at this time and there at this next time, maybe it's not the race for you. But if you can be flexible and go with the flow and laugh at yourself and laugh at things that happen, I think it's an amazing spot, and there's people there that will laugh with you. And just, I love what Kumi said about the community aspect. And Heather, you said it too. Everyone knows, and who's on this panel, I think, what an amazing thing it is. And I'd love more women to get to be a part of it.
Thanks, Amy.
I think that was really well said, and that Manitou is definitely less about the competition and more about just the challenge of it. And I think that women shouldn't be scared of that more women should embrace that. And yeah, it shouldn't be, the challenge of it shouldn't be like a turn off for women choosing to participate. It should be kind of what inspires us to participate.
One or two more shares?
I think I would just encourage myself to just trust in my training. If you put in the work, I think before the race, just like what Amy said, with being flexible, be open-minded. Like, you are gonna, like, nothing goes perfectly in any race, but especially with Manitous being like a longer race, and you'll come up to challenges, but as long as you just keep calm, keep your cool, you're going to finish and have a great time.
Yeah.
So
I remember the first year I did Manitous, another thing that really made that 2013 Manitous just so special that first year was that I didn't really know anybody in the whole community. I did most of my running by myself. I had a few people here and there, but just the people that I met and are just lifelong friends, I can't mention it enough. And when I finished in 22 hours and some odd minutes that year, took a long time. And we just, that crew I was with at the end we just started picking people with us who were struggling, that were ahead of us. And it ended up being a group of like 4 or 5 of us. And it was just it's just such a special bond, and it's hard, but it's just hard enough to be extremely special, but not too hard that with a little work and a little training, I feel like it's doable for the masses. Maybe not the total masses, but the masses who are into this kind of stuff. And I would encourage anyone to, give it a shot. And I think most people would be glad they did. I've never heard someone say, "Oh, Manitous." Maybe that day they'd say they'd never do it again. But most people come back at least once. It's just a really special event.
Thanks, Amy. I can see from Charlie that we should kind of shift into taking some questions from non-panelists. So I think that you can come off of mute and you can ask a specific person a question, or you can ask the group a question, or you can pop a question into the chat and we'll monitor that and get to those too.
Hi, this is Christy. Thank you all for sharing so much about the course and just your insight into doing these distances. I just wanted to ask more so maybe to the race directors, have you ever thought of becoming Trail Sister approved for your races? And if you don't know about Trail Sisters, we can connect afterwards. But this is something that is no cost to any race directors, but just allows more women to be in the space. It's kind of like an honor system. You have to do 4 things required by Trail Sisters to have the race approved. So it's something that could benefit the women's community.
Yeah, sure. That's a great idea. Could you put your contact in the chat?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
You answered all my questions, but I wanted to say thank you. It was really awesome. Very, very helpful. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it'll be good to meet you in June, Kim.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Can't wait. Should be a hoot.
See you at Willow.
Yes.
Indira, if you have a question where I'm having a little trouble hearing you, I wonder if you could put it in the chat.
Hi, yes. I'm new at this video.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. And I have one son sleeping and the other one's watching TV, so I'm trying just but I can hear you all. I just wanted to ask you how is the training? I'm sorry I connected late. So how is the training? It's like if I want to participate, how is the training for me since like tomorrow? I have done 50Ks. I have done a few 50-milers. And that's it. So I will take any advice. Thank you.
Hi, Indira. Do you train on technical trails, or the trails around you, what you have access to trails? Or are you doing indoor training? What kind of training are you doing?
So I live in Long Island and at the tip of it and the North Fork, so it's really flat. I do have some trails in the middle of the island that I go to, but I usually training pretty flat on the grass part of my neighborhood. And then I do have a Horton's Lighthouse, which is a staircase of 110 steps. And I take my weights up and down, and that's my elevation training, pretty much.
Have you done any kind of hilly trails, the races that you've completed? Have they have a lot of elevation to them?
I've done Breakneck, which is a 7,000. I done the last year that the North Face did the 50-miler. back in 2018. Then, I have done in Connecticut. I like big races, which is I don't remember right now the name of the trail, but that was another actually was a
Macedonia.
yes, Macedonia. Yeah, the lovely Macedonia. Yes, so and that's it.
And you're thinking about doing Manitous this year?
Well, my friend Raymond, I think Raymond Russell is like, Dina, you should do it. Like he wants to put on me like a goal because we have done races together and it's I guess he has faith in me.
What's the longest time you've been on your feet? Total
So
time.
for the first time last year in May, I tried to do the peak no not peak race. This is a Spartan with trail race here in Killington in Vermont, and I did 23 hours on my feet. Was 10,000 elevation. I did 60 miles. That's the longest, 23 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I would really focus on, creating like utilizing the stairs, a treadmill, a stair mill, if you have one at your gym. And then practicing technical sections if you can get to any trail like Harriman or something with more rocks. I don't think Long Island has many technical trails.
Yeah.
But just when you have a chance, going to Harriman or Bear Mountain or Ringwood, even like closer in New Jersey, and just practicing up and down hills, short sections of that for foot speed, cadence, and just learning how to negotiate rocky terrain a bit. Yeah, that's my advice. Anybody else?
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Have fun.
with
I
what
hope
you've
you sign
done,
up too,
you can
Indira.
do it.
Sorry. Yeah, I hope you sign up, Indira.
Well, when Raymond sent it to me a couple days ago, he sent me the link. He's so nice. He said to me, sign up, but then I got in and said sold out and everything. And then I read what he sent me. Well, I read through Ultra Sign Up, right? Says that on the 21st, they're going to open for first timers.
Right.
So I would like to hear how does it work.
It's not sold out. You're signing onto a wait list. Can everyone hear me? Yeah, you're signing onto a wait list. And then I'll review your qualifications and then send you an invitation to complete your registration. Because we do get people who have no experience trail running and think that they're gonna heard about it from a friend and just sign up. So I have to
Right.
make sure that people. This is how I keep the race safe. And that's really I'd have to screen everybody. And there's about 3 or 4 people every year who I have to, say, please do another real trail race, maybe hopefully with some technical terrain thrown in so that we can be sure you're not going to hurt yourself. So yeah, that's why we have a wait list. It doesn't mean we're sold out. I take I think about 140, and then we go to a real wait list. And as I said before, the last 2 years, everyone eventually got in. So
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so I guess I sign in and
yeah, and
then
then I'll review your qualifications and races, and then I'll send you an invitation. It sounds like you're qualified, so I'm not too worried.
okay, wonderful. No, and it really is important. I think it is very important to have experience because it's hard and you can really get hurt, you know. I mean, in the breakneck and in the Macedonia, it's crazy.
Mhm.
It was this boulder that you just, and I was, I guess, afraid to hide. But after I do the Macedonia, it's like, wow, this is just unbelievable. I don't look down. I just keep going up.
I would
But I
definitely
love,
get to Indira, definitely try to get on the course and hike some of it and get out there and see what it's all about. Even if it's in short segments, just so you can see if you really want to commit to it as well.
right. Right. Yes. And I find because again, I live in a flat part of Long Island. I did an 100K last April, and yeah, the time on your feet is so important. And even though it was pretty much flat, the trails were flat. what is the name of these things that are in your feet? That has water on it. Um,
Blister.
oh my, blisters. Yeah, blisters. Blisters. Aren't they lovely? Oh my goodness. So, yeah, that's my only problem. I find that my body is very good going like, elevations like up, downs. I am from Peru, South America. I didn't grow up in the Andes. So sad. I grew up by the beach, but my body is strong, but those blisters are just nasty. So I'm reading that book, How to Fix Your Feet.
Yes.
So I learned a lot.
Well, we hope to see you out there.
Yeah,
I'll see
thank
you,
you.
Willow.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope to see you out there.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any more questions, or any of the panelists want to chime in on anything else that they've thought of?
I don't know. Are you having any training camps or any group runs this year?
We used to have a night run every year,
All right.
about 3 weeks before the race, and then I got to the point where I couldn't safely do that, and um, my former co-director didn't feel like it, and so if someone wants to lead it, I'll certainly help with the driving, but I don't. And the people I've asked, no one I've asked has ever really wanted to do it, but I'd be happy to bring that up again and do a night run from that would be like meeting about 5 at Mount Tremper and drive up um, to Mink North Mikalo and then run back. So it's starting about 6 o'clock and finishing in the dark, because a lot of people do run the last part of the race in the dark, and gives you some confidence for what that will feel like. But I need to find somebody who's willing to lead that.
Yeah.
I did the night run a bunch of years and found it extremely helpful, because that descent down Tremper that I always did at night it's a doozy in the dark. So I think it's really good that would be great if you could do that. If we pick out a date, maybe I could maybe be with the uh medium to slower group.
Yeah, it'd be like the first weekend in first Saturday in June.
Mhm.
All right, I think it's been about an hour, and we've been recording this. So, Mr. Ken, I think that Ken Posner has a YouTube channel, so it will be available to anybody who wasn't able to attend tonight. And tell people about this, and I'll post the link. And I just want to thank everybody who joined in, all of the panelists, and Heather for being our moderator. And I hope to see you all in June. So thank you so much for participating.
I look forward to meeting everyone also in June.
Alex is going to run this year, so he'll get to see everybody at the aid
Yeah.
stations.
Thanks.
We
Hopefully.
may make an appearance on video and picture taking as well.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Oh,
We'll
great.
have our new dog instead of Sam up on Sugarloaf, Milo.
Cool.
Happy trails,
Awesome
everybody.
seeing you guys. It was like a little reunion for me. Good
I
to
Yeah.
know, me
see you,
too.
Heather. I haven't seen a lot of you in so many years, I guess, which is crazy. Just goes
I
by.
know if you
so
come
quickly.
into town, let me know. Maybe we could do
Yeah, of
something.
course. Of course I will. Well, good to see you guys. I'm going to sign off now. But
All right.
if anybody listening out there, or people are still watching, if you have any questions about training specifically, strength training, that kind of thing, or endurance coaching, I'm always here. And let's get out there, ladies. All right. Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Bye.
all.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you.